Hi guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. In this video we're going to be talking about how to make a build. It sounds really stupid, but people have been asking for this because they don't know what makes a build. So I've seen people making like full attack speed builds for the highest DPS possible, and ultimately it absolutely sucks. Like, the build is not viable for anything outside of duels. So yeah, so they've asked me what I think of and how to make a build basically. So I'm going to go over a couple of different things that I think it's what I look at when I make builds. So yeah, let's go over it. The first thing is defenses / tankiness. So how many times have you seen that like full squishy, no defensive, like Carrion Caller or Clarion Blade just come running at you, does a lot of damage, but ultimately if you swap onto him, he's going to die. It happens a lot. I'm actually going to turn these sounds off. What? Okay. Yeah, so ultimately does a lot of damage, however, doesn't really do anything outside of that. It doesn't offer any CC, it doesn't survive any damage. And realistically it is only good for bursting someone, and that build's great in the right team comp, but outside of that it's pretty damn terrible. So the first thing you want to look at is how many defensives do you have and how many defensives do you need. So this is my challenge character now. I'm still running with the same 3 pieces except I've swapped to dagger pair. Daggers are typically used for diving in, whether it's blackhands, daggers, bloodletter, whatever, are typically used for diving in, causing a lot of damage and then getting out, or executing or whatever, but they're typically in the mix of things, and aren't particularly tanky. I'm not using the shield, I'm not using the toughest of armor here, so I have to make sure that I have enough defensives that I can cover that. So normally I run with block. Block gives me the 2 second immunity, while allowing me to move on a 30-second cooldown. This is really strong if you use it right. I would actually go as far to say that this is a lot stronger than Ice Block if used correctly. It also gives me the extra toughness, which again is just damage reduction, so you're a little bit tankier. I'm running with the Assassin Jacket for the increased damage, however I'm still running with Inferno Shield for that extra tankiness and the reflect. It stops people wanting to hit you. It's a long cooldown, but it's still going to be doing a lot for me while it's active. It's keeping me alive. I'm also running with the dodge boots. The dodge boots means that I can avoid damage if I play well, and that in itself, if used right, is a defensive. People argue with me about this a lot, that I count assassin boots as a defensive. 100% is. Like, if you use it at the right time, you can dodge Curse Bomb, you can dodge Crossbow Snipe, Clarion E, you can dodge all of these if you play well around Assassin Boots, and they are massive things to be able to avoid. So anyone that tells me that's not a defensive, 100% it is. So yeah, that's the first thing. You need to decide how tanky your build's supposed to be, and if it isn't as tanky as it needs to be to survive, then you need to make it more tanky, and that's part of what you've got to look at in a build. So my build, I'm running with 3 defensives. I'm running with obviously the Assassin Shoes, Block and Inferno Shield, because I have nothing on my spells that is going to keep me alive outside of Dash, and I probably won't be running Dash in a PvP scenario. And I've also got, like, I'm also going to be in the middle of a team fight. What is going on right now? I think I just had a massive lag spike. Apologies about that. Yes, anyway. I'm going to be playing in the middle of a fight. I'm going to be a crucial part to a fight that ultimately, if I don't have enough defensives, I'm just going to get turned on and shredded. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that people would just turn to me and one-shot me. And they could do that. What is that mob? Anyway. Yeah, people would just turn to me and one-shot me, and there's not a doubt in my mind that that's what they would do, and there's nothing I can do about it, really, without defensives. So anyway, let's move on to the next one. Utility. So what do you offer a team? What do you offer in a fight outside of just, like, so some builds, my Curse Bomb build, right? What do I offer to a team? I offer a massive amount of burst on quite a short cooldown. I offer pretty consistent sustained damage with my Qs. I offer armor pierce, which means the rest of my group has a lot more damage. I run night boots, so I offer the night boot charge. Now that seems silly because everyone can use it, but that's kind of the point of this category. What can your build offer to anyone else that's playing it? Anyone else in your group? And like I said, I can offer the charge, I can offer just a lot of damage, I can offer the armor pierce, which gives our group a total amount more damage. All things to consider. So as a tank, you should be looking at how many ways can I offer utility. You shouldn't be looking at how much damage you can put out, because it's pointless. You don't need to be kicking out damage. You've got to look at your build and find out what it's supposed to do and how best does it offer that role. The next thing sounds really stupid, but materials. So materials, why are materials an important thing? You've got to be able to sustain your builds, and some people just buy their way through everything, and if you're great, if you're successful at PvP every time, if you're a pretty consistently high win rate team, you're probably going to be able to do that. However, if you're not, or if you're using hell artifacts, or if you're doing whatever, even if you're running normal artifacts, it's still very expensive to sustain everything yourself unless you have, unless you've thought about materials. So me with this build, I am using leather, and bars. So I only have used 2 materials. For the core setup of my build, I'm only ever using 2 materials. That means that I could level just one of their materials up, and I've cut my costs in half at least. That means I can sustain builds I can sustain this build all day long. It's so cheap for me to sustain this. However, my curse uses cloth, wood, bars, and for a short time I was using assassin boots for the role. I was actually using like 4 out of 5 materials, the 5th obviously being stone, which no one uses. I've now got it to 3, where I'm using 3 different materials, but even that in itself is hard to sustain, because I can only gather 1 of them, realistically maybe 2 if I was to put a lot of time into it, and I stupidly chose wood, which means I'm only ever good to repair, to deal with my own weapon. Outside of that, I'm useless for sustaining my own gear. So unless I win and can sell off my profits, ultimately I haven't got enough money to sustain my sets, and that's something I've got to realistically look at. The next thing is burst or sustained damage. So again, this is one of the things where you've got to look at what team comp you're looking to play with, what do they need, what can you offer. So let's look at my my dagger build. My dagger build offers, I would say, a medium level of sustained damage, and now I would actually say a high level of sustained damage and a medium amount of burst. Obviously, with the dagger changes that happened a while ago now, they took a lot of the burst out of it. He still does a fair bit of burst with the right setup, but my build is about doing a lot of damage and just being able to stick on people. I do either run with the dash, or if we're running like a melee comp, I run with the heal reduction to obviously just put pressure on the team. But yeah, I would say I'm all about sustained damage at the moment. I'm all about keeping up a lot of damage and putting a lot of pressure out. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you go for full burst teams, and you go for Carrion's a bit of a weird one, but you go for the Clarence, you go for the Black Hands. So I played this the other day where we played with a crossbow, a light crossbow, a Claren, and me as Black Hands, and we just walked up to someone and one-shot them. Literally, we all popped up bursts, and they didn't have the defenses to deal with it, and ultimately we won off that. So yeah, you kind of, what do you offer, what do you want to offer, that sort of thing. So again, I'm here to cause a lot of pressure to a group with the potential that I can cause an execute with my E. Maybe not an execute, but put them under a lot of damage and be the reason they die ultimately. And again, that's what I want to do with this build. My Great Curse build, I'm not there for burst damage. I'm there to be sustained damage and utility. You have to look at what your role is in a team, what you want your role is in a team, and build around that. So as Great Curse, I run with 3 defensives. And I run with 3 defensives because I don't want to be the person that is having to be focus healed. I want to be able to look after myself and just keep up the utility. With a lot of sustained damage, true, but still, I'm there to help my team. I'm not there to be the solo carry. If I wanted to carry as Curse, I would play I'd play one-handed Curse. If I'm playing one-handed Curse, I'm there to do an okay amount of sustain, but a ridiculous amount of burst, and that's the difference between the builds. I've made different builds around that. Like, so I run. I can't believe I got hit by that. I run Frost Armor as Great Curse on Mage Robe, so I'm still doing high damage, but I'm also doing a good amount of... I have a good amount of defensives. As One-Handed Curse, I run with Berserker. So I only have 2 defensives, but I have a massive amount of damage. And that's it. You've got to look at what your build wants to do. And then as one of the last 2, so we've got 2 left. One of them is energy use. No one really pays attention to this until it is too late. I'm going to shout him out a little bit here. Japanese Ninja, he thought of a great way to solve an energy issue because he thought ahead of it. He plays Quarterstaff, and ultimately he found a way around the energy cost usages on Quarterstaff. Because he didn't want to be useless in the middle of a fight because he couldn't keep up his damage. And that's where he was kind of going with it. He was getting into a fight and not able to keep it up. And now he is. So, I'm going to die again, aren't I? Oh, wow. So yeah, you have to look at energy usages. You really have to look at it. Me, personally, double daggers, so dagger pair, has quite low energy cost. Q is really high, however E, W are quite low. I'm running with energy regain out solo just because it's just faster for me killing mobs, although I've not really needed to use it once. However, Black Hands has one of the highest energy cost skills in the game on the E, and if I don't have some way of getting energy back in a fight, I'm done for. I have 1 round of burst, maybe 2 if I play well, but that's it. Which means I then have to consider how I'm going to get around that. My answer to that is I pretty much am always going to be playing with an Arcane. That Arcane's pretty much always going to be running with Druid Robe. Druid Cowl. But yeah, that's my solution to that. If I don't run with a Druid Cowl, I think I'm pretty much out of a fight. I'm unable to fight. And I have to really look at that and go, is that what I want to do in a fight? And yeah, I enjoy that. I think it'd be fun. But yeah, you still have to look at energy usages. How are you going to get around it? I look at Curse, and I always use Energetic on Great Curse because my whole goal is just to keep a good amount of damage out, be able to use my E on demand to remove HOTS, and get them armor pierces out. If I can't do either of those last 2, my W or my E, I'm useless. So if I don't have the energy there, I'm pretty terrible. One-handed Curse, I swap away from it and I swap into the damage increase one. However, again, I've still got to look at that and go, okay, if I don't have energy, I can't do damage. So what do I do there? And if I've got a Druid Cowl, I swap to the damage one. If I don't, I use Energetic because I've got to be able to keep up my damage. So again, you have to look at things realistically in a fight and go, what is my build going to lack? Because I guarantee you can't get everything on this list in a build. It's just not going to happen. That's the point of it. That's the point of balance. And finally, we have how it fits in a team comp. So it's really simple. How does your build fit into a team comp? So let me give you an example. I was running earlier for a really fun build. I had full Gatherer's gear on, so it was whatever. But I actually had a fight against the other day. Someone running Poison, Mage Cowl, Hunter Jacket, Assassin Boots, and dagger, single-handed dagger with a torch. His whole point of his build was that he was going to try to auto-attack me to death in a couple of seconds. And had I have stood there and taken it, he would have. However, I didn't. I ice blocked and I lived. And he had no defensives then. He had no CC. He had nothing. He had no way to survive. And again, it was a really easy fight. I was doing it earlier just for farming for skinning, sorry. I had a one-hand dagger on and a torch just because I could run around and do that all day long, kill mobs so quickly with auto attacks that I didn't have to worry about anything. I could do it pretty AFK while watching Netflix, and that was it. But that would never fit in a Hellgate team comp or in a GVG team comp, to be even more like, it would just never fit. And you have to look at that and go, okay, so if I want to be in a GVG team, or if I want to be doing Hellgates, I need to change what I'm doing. And you have to look at your build, and realistically, you have to be honest with yourself before you invest time in it and go, is what I'm doing going to help me or my team in a fight? Have I got a place in the team? So a lot of Arcanes have actually stopped playing Arcane because they believe that they didn't have a place in their fight. And actually they do. They just had to be more realistic in it. They needed the right team comp. It was no longer a case of just putting it onto a double daggers or putting it onto a Claren and AFK winning. They actually had to think about it and run with a very bursty team to sort of support the Claren big burst. The Claren can still 80% a team, or a dagger can still like 90 to 100% someone. They just need someone else just to finish them off. But they actually have to run with a team that supports that. That's what I mean. That you've got to think how your build fits into a team. And that's it. I think I've gone over the majority of the points. I'm sure there's more out there, more ways you could look at a build and go, yeah, but what about this? But realistically, I think this is a good start. I think people, if you looked at all of this and went, yeah, all of these things, I've got a good chunk of them, I know what I want to do. So like, I look at my build here. If I go through this list right now, defensives and tankiness. I have 3 defensives and I'm quite squishy, but I've got the defensives to make up for that. Utility, I've got the healing reduction that I can always have on a healer. I've got high mobility, so I can get back to my team, and also I can put pressure on their front line if they put too much pressure on our back line. But I can also dive into their front line, into their back line. So I've got utility in, like I said, the heal reduction and the mobility. Materials, it only cost me 2 materials, which means my entire set is very cheap to sustain. Burst and sustain damage, I've opted for the higher burst option. I do a lot of burst, the sustain option. I do a lot of sustain, however my burst is sort of lackluster because it's just not what my build's gone for. Energy usage, when I'm running the double dagger setup, I have a good amount of sort of energy sustain. I've not really had an experience yet where I've run out of energy. Oof, that went bad quickly. Not really had a situation where I've run out of energy in a fight. I'm sure it would happen eventually, but if something's not happened by that point, that's probably my fault as someone that's looking to put pressure out. And then how it fits in the team comp. So how does my build fit into a team comp? My whole build is about jumping into their backline, putting out a lot of pressure, a lot of damage, making them panic, and then capitalizing off that. And if my build's doing that, if that's what my team's looking to do, to put the pressure on people, then brilliant. I'm doing exactly what I need to do. That's kind of it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope this was what people were looking for when they were asking for build guides. I'm going to do another video probably tomorrow. I've actually got a family meal tonight, so I'm probably going to do another video tomorrow around group compositions, how to make a good team comp. And there is no such thing as like the perfect team comp, so please, I'm not going to give you all the answers here. And I probably wouldn't, even if I could, if I'm honest. I'd probably go and win some Hellgates first. But yeah, there isn't such thing as a perfect team comp. But I'm going to give you what you should be looking for and what each thing means, so to speak. But we'll go over that tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and catch you later, guys. Goodbye.